I think I may have potentially uncovered something that I shouldn't have, and I have now got a post going viral on NUFC, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, explaining what I've uncovered. So I'm not proud about how I discovered this, because as I wrote in the post on X, it is some real kind of like crazy X sort of stalkery detective style work. I'm going to have to take you through the full process of exactly what I looked at so that you can see why I've come to this conclusion. And as I said, the post is now going viral on X, on NUFC X. So it seems that a lot of people do seem to think there could be some real legs to what I've found here. So today's video is just going to be a little bit of a story on my stalkerish behaviors and what I did to find what I've found, and then eventually you'll find out what I've found. I've also put a link in the description with a link to all my socials, so if you want to follow me on X and, you know, stay more up to date with things, because if I find something this interesting, I will probably post it on there first, just to make sure I'm not too late to the party and I don't finally get the YouTube video out after they've already announced it. So yeah, link in the description has a link to all my socials, so if you want to follow me on anything on there, all in there, and obviously make sure you give me a follow on X. So without wasting any time, let's just get into it. So it all started when Geordie Journos posted their video, which was a breaking news that a shirt deal is like imminent and there will be something coming up, but they didn't say who it was. They kind of alluded to the idea that they knew in the video, they've been told something, but they had to keep it under wraps.
It sounds like with the story that you've got today, that's been narrowed down to one to getting that secured.
Yes.
Obviously, they've been told by someone probably within the club or something like that, so they can't betray that trust, so they can't say. However, nobody told me, and I could even be wrong. I could be wrong. There is always that possibility, but whatever I found, nobody told me. I just went and did a load of research, some really in-depth digging, and found what I found. So I aren't betraying anyone's trust, so I can go ahead and say whatever I found, and there is the possibility that it's not even true. I think it does almost go without saying as well that if I had been told this by someone, if someone had put their trust in me not to tell this, and they had given me this kind of in-the-know kind of knowledge, then obviously I wouldn't be relaying this to you guys, because that would be me betraying someone's trust. So I'm kind of in the lucky potentially position. If I have managed to figure it out, I'm in the lucky position that nobody did actually tell me this and I've just found it out myself. So Geordie Journos, as I said, they posted a video and they spoke about the fact that a deal is imminent with a front of shirt sponsor. There's going to be something in place for the start of next season, and that it's near enough confirmed. It's as good as a done deal gets, basically. As I was watching that video, I was watching it and I was like, right, they know something, and there's a chance that a lot of people sort of connected to the club, the sort of inside circle, as you will, they probably all know by now who it is, and it does seem like it's an imminent thing. So at that point I was like, I'm gonna have a look and see if I can find anything at all on the internet that leads me down a trail that might possibly lead me to who this could be. Or basically, I was very bored last night. It's been a very slow news week, and I've always said on this channel, if there's a slow news week, I either won't post or I'm just gonna look for something. Like, I'm not just going to sit here and relay the same lazy kind of transfer rumors. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to dig and see if I can find something to talk about, something that actually provides value to the conversation or something like that. Something along them lines. I'm not just going to sit here and rehash the same shit that everyone's tired of reading, the same bullshit rumors. I'm always trying to find something in between the lines. So when we get to this kind of part of the year when it's like silly season or like a slow news week, as it is at the moment, I will just look into everything, and I'll only post about a rumor if it's really got something like real legs to it, where I've done a lot of research into it, as I did with the Ezab Day one, by the way. I noticed all of last week, all of the video that I was making on the last video, I spent the whole time too focused on the numbers and didn't actually get the guy's name right, and I spent a whole video calling him Elab Day. His name's Ezab Day, so sorry about that one. But yeah, I'll always try and make sure that I'm doing a lot of research into the things that I talk about, and I'll only ever speak about things if there is something genuinely interesting about that topic. If it's just the same bullshit rumors that are just there for clicks, there for, you know, the journalists and whatever to have something to talk about on a slow news week, then I'm just not going to talk about it. But anyway, let's get on with the story. Let's see what I found and how I found it. So the first thing I did was I went on LinkedIn and I started trying to find the most like relevant person I could find to this kind of deal within the club. And the person that I managed to find was Newcastle's commercial and partnership leader. So basically the guy who is kind of tasked with finding these deals. So I started going through his activity on LinkedIn. And the first thing I did was I scrolled far enough back to see a deal that we do know about, and that is the Knox deal. So I found the posts about the Knox deal, which were about 2 months ago. And then I scrolled a little bit further back than that and found that he'd liked a post from Knox a month before the Knox deal was announced. So from that point, I was like, right, I could be onto a trail here. There's a blueprint to potentially follow where this guy does like things from companies that we're about to do deals with before we've done the deal with them, or like in the lead up to the deal, he's liking posts from them, you know, potentially trying to strengthen relations with a cheeky like here and there. And I promise you, there is so much more than just liked posts. Like by the time I got to the end of this, I did hours and hours of research and I did so much digging. So just stick around to the end of the video so you can see just how far I went into this and how much actually adds up for my theory. So then I took that blueprint and I applied it to now. So I was like, right, we've just found out from the Geordie journos that something is imminent. We don't know who, we don't know what, we don't know for how much. We just know that the front of shirt sponsor is near enough agreed. So I was like, right, I'm going to look back through the rest of his interactions over the last like month or so and see if I can find anything in the last month that looks like there could be something of a front of shirt sponsor, anything that stands out that looks like a company that could be a front of shirt sponsor. And the three that I found were BarQ, Humane, and Whoop. So BarQ is a company that we already have a deal with. I did sort of rule them out. I'm not 100% ruling them out, but I did sort of rule them out just because we already have the deal with them. So like they would just essentially, if it were to be them, they would just be kind of increasing their investment in us to then go on the front of shirt as well. But they don't have anywhere near as many signals pointing towards it being them as the one that is the one that I think it is. So then next we've got Humane. Humane, again, interesting, but I ruled them out simply because they're an associated party. So they are like a PIF owned company, and that would cause associated party transaction problems. There is a possibility of that because of how badly we've been doing on the pitch. There is the possibility that absolutely nobody wants to touch us at the moment, and we've essentially had to just like bounce associated party transaction bids off each other just to be able to get a deal through that has enough value by sort of like falsely inflating our sponsorship value or like market value by creating a bidding war between PIF owned companies. But I don't really think that that would be possible because I think the Premier League would just crack down on that straight away and just be like, no, this is the market value, this is as much as you're having. So that associated party transactions are the reason why I kind of ruled out Humane. That leads me obviously onto Whoop. This was the last one of the three, and this is the one where everything starts to get interesting and juicy. So the first thing I did was start looking into Whoop and their kind of plausibility of them just being a football shirt sponsor. So the first thing I needed to see is, could they afford it? Yes, they can. They're worth 10.1 billion. The second thing was like, do they have any interest at the moment in pushing into like that kind of area? You know, are they pushing into football or anything like that? Turns out they are. That's a massive part of their strategy this year. So they've just signed deals with PSG and Al Nassr, and yeah, like a massive part of their strategy this year is pushing into elite football. Obviously there's no problems with them with associated party transactions, so whatever we can get from them cannot be scrutinized. So this obviously started to signal that there is a genuine possibility of this, so I started looking further into this one. Now if I just cast you back a bit, when I was looking through the chief partner development guy's LinkedIn, he was also liking a lot of posts from a company called IMG. Now IMG are essentially like a global sports marketing company, and we already have a connection to IMG because IMG are the parent company of another company that we're already in a deal with, which is Endeavour Streaming. Now I did a little bit more research into IMG and kind of what they do, because obviously sports marketing is quite broad, and one thing that they do is they essentially pair sporting institutions, so like sporting companies, with other companies for things like this kind of commercial deal. So it's almost like outsourcing your finding of a sponsor. You basically have a company go and try and pair you with another company. That's something that IMG do. And IMG have loads of really big connections to some really big companies that they can obviously like broker sponsorship deals with. So companies like Coca-Cola, MasterCard, things like that. And one company that they've already been noted to be working in the same ecosystem as is Whoop. So they are both directly linked together in the British and Irish Lions, where IMG were the global sports and entertainment agency, and Whoop are a designated official supplier to the British and Irish Lions. So they are already connected together in the Lions ecosystem. So from there I was like, right, the chief commercial guy, he's been interacting with them. Then obviously part of Whoop's current strategy at the moment is to get into elite football. And then Whoop and Newcastle are connected together through a company that is literally there to partner companies together like this. So at this point I was thinking like, right, I could really be onto something here, but I still wasn't 100% convinced. I was like, right, I need to, like, I can't go posting about this because I still need to find something that I almost just can't really refute, like something that is just too much of a coincidence at this point. So what I then did was I came off LinkedIn, I came off all the research stuff, and I just went on like the kind of everyday kind of thing that we all look for connections on, and I looked on social media. So I went on Whoop's social media, and I noticed that they were followed by, I'm not going to say who, but I noticed that they were followed by someone who is professionally connected to the club, the type of group or person that you would expect to have this kind of information a little bit early in the same way that the Geordie Journos did. I then went on that group or person's X account, had a look at all of the people that they follow. They don't follow too many people. It is like a sort of professional thing. It's not like a Twitter in the know or anything like that. It's a professional thing. They don't post any of the stuff that they might be in the know about because they are professionally connected to the club. So I had a look through their following, and I managed to find, in the small amount of people that they were following, there was only really 2 companies that they followed. One of them was Knox, and the other one was Whoop. So then I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I'm still not 100% convinced. Like, there could be something to that. Like, that is a very strong coincidence again. But maybe, I don't know, maybe they just, they just bought like a Whoop band recently or something like that. And maybe they're just really invested in Whoop and followed it from this page, right? So then I was like, let me just check one more thing. So what I then did was I then went and found that same group or person. I went and found their Instagram account as well. And then I went and had a look, and I found a site on Google where you can put in like any Instagram handle and you can see the last 5 most recent people they have followed. So I put in this group or person's Instagram account, and who were the last 2 people that they followed? It was Whoop and Whoop CEO. So at this point I was like, right, okay, there is an awful lot starting to add up at this point. Like, it's looking pretty dead on with all the timing, with everything that I've managed to find. I was like, this, I'm pretty certain I can write at least an X post about this saying that I think I've found something, right? So I wrote the X post saying that I think I've found something. That, as I said, has now started to go relatively viral on NUFC, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And then a few people commented a few little things here and there, just sort of adding fuel to the fire, essentially. There was a few people that pointed out that some more people that are, professionally connected to the club also follow Whoop at the moment, just kind of like out of nowhere. Someone did also comment a picture of Eddie Howe wearing a Whoop band, so I'm not sure if this was AI or not, but if it is real, that's, potentially something. But there was also a few people that added a few questions as well. There was people saying that maybe it's just like a sports performance brand that we're associated with now, or we're about to be associated with, and that is entirely possible. It could just be that that's the sportswear performance that we're about to be linked with, but the point is that there is almost certainly about to be something announced with Whoop from the looks of things, and the timing of it very much looks like it could be shirt sponsor, and also the fact that a lot of these professionally linked accounts follow Whoop and Knox. Like, if it was a sports performance one, I would say that these accounts probably wouldn't follow Whoop then, because, like, I understand them following Knox because that's been a big deal. That's been like the new name of the training ground. That's been a big deal. But like, we've got loads of other deals going on, and these accounts don't follow all these other companies. The fact that they've followed Whoop, to me, I think signals something big, like a big deal, not just, like sports performance partner. So anyway, none of this is 100%. This is just me doing some serious digging and potentially I've found something. There's a lot of signs that say it looks like I've found something. Like, I am almost 100% certain, as I said, there's something coming with Whoop. Whether or not it's the front of shirt sponsor, I don't know. As I said, I'm not an in the know of any kind. I have zero sources. All I ever do on this channel when it comes to times like this, when it's just rumors circling around everywhere, all I ever do is just have a look at everything that you and I have available and see if I can figure anything out, work anything in between the lines that might be going on, anything that has any potential legs to it, and then I just spend the rest of my time dismissing 95% of all the bullshit that's out there. So this isn't by any means 100% claim that this is happening. This is just me relaying everything that I've found, and you can come to your own conclusion. So yeah, that's what I do when news is slow. Instead of, you know, just rehashing lazy rumors about, you know, players that we're almost definitely not linked with, I'll just sit there and try and see if I can actually find something with any legs to it. And if I can't, then I probably just won't post. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you've taken something from this video. Please do drop a like and hype for the amount of hours I spent looking into this. Obviously, it goes without saying, if you want to stay up to date with anything else that I might be able to find over the summer in any time that I have to do any digging, drop a subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this, whether you think I've actually found something, whether you think I've just gone crazy. Let me know also in the comments what you think of Whoop as a potential partner. Are you excited about that? Are you not? But for now, that's all the noise for this one. Until the next one.